Hello to the second part of how to make a Twitter. So today let's add NextAuth to our project. We go into the app directory and we make a new folder API, and in the Next.js after next 13 any backend logic you want to write, you write in this API folder, and then in this you would want to create another folder, name it auth. After you have created the auth inside the API, you have to create another folder where you have to make square brackets and then 3 dots and then write next auth. So API slash next slash auth slash next auth with this type of notation. There you will define a route.ts. So here we'll be writing our logic dealing with the authentication using NextAuth. Now let's discuss what we have to write over here. First, let's install NextAuth library. We can install it by typing npm install NextAuth. Once this is done, you can just write over this piece of code, import NextAuth config. I will tell you what is NextAuth config. This squiggly line will go away as you have imported it. Now let me make you understand how to remove this. If you go into the source directory, you have to create a library folder, and inside that you can create an auth.ts file. Here we have to write the configuration of our authentication, and that we are importing and sending as an argument to the NextAuth function which we imported from NextAuth, and this is our handler. So any request that comes into API app slash, that is localhost 3000 slash API slash auth slash NextAuth, all the GET and POST request will be handled by this NextAuth library. So let me showcase you what is our auth.ts file going to look like. Let us head over to the NextAuth website, and then let me showcase you how you can write your own authentication logic. So basically you have to write this. This is let me showcase you. Yeah, so you are just exporting a variable called NextAuth config, and here you have to write what are your providers. If you look closely, we have Google as our provider. This is an array. The providers is an array. You can write any other provider also, like GitHub can be a provider. As you can see, NextAuth provider slash GitHub. So it is being imported, and then you have to write the client ID as well as the client secret if you have GitHub as a login method. In the documentation, in the get started page, you can go into configuration, go into providers, OAuth. Here you can understand how OAuth is being applied, like what is the overview of it. So here you can see this was the callback sign-in which we stored in our in the Google Cloud thing, where we had API slash auth slash sign-in and then the Google thing. So this was the callback, and you can understand the logic over here. This is a little bit complicated, but if you are familiar with JWT and cookies, then this must be a piece of cake for you. Not going into that because that NextAuth handles for us. Let us see what we can do as our thing as a developer. Below configuration, you can see that there is a providers drop down menu. Just click on that and select from where you want to make your user sign in, from which account. You can see there is an Apple thing, like sign in with Apple button would appear. And here, as you can see, the providers is an array in which you have just written Apple provider and its client ID as well as secret. So it is easy to guess that for Google also it would have the same thing. So as we remember, for development we had written this callback URL inside the Google Cloud thing, which is under the section authorized redirect URIs. And if you can see in the auth.ts file which we have written, this is the Google provider thing. So here you can see we have a providers thing and a Google provider as a parameter. Now let's see what is this secret parameter. So this secret parameter is the NextAuth secret. This is used to encode your tokens using this secret. This can be any string which you can write in your env file. So here you can write anything as your NextAuth secret and just import it from your env. And next is the callbacks. So callbacks are basically functions that you can customize according to your needs. Some of them are given by the NextAuth library, and these are used to manage sessions. Like, it gives you extra control over your application. Like, there is an JWT callback that has user and a token as an object, and I have written a little bit of logic that if the user exists, then its UID should be equal to user ID, and we return the token. Similarly, I have added sessions. I have added the Google image of the person as well as his ID to the session, so that the token has everything, and so that I can use those images into the session also. So this is the auth.ts library. Now let me go over here, /lib/auth. So this error has gone away. Now let us create a front end for this. Let us go to another folder which is inside app directory as auth, and let us create a page.tsx. In this project I won't be dealing with much of the front end part, because I believe that if I have handheld you till the front end part also, then you wouldn't be able to learn. So all the front end part, I hope you will be able to customize it, so that you will also learn along the way. So this is an export default function in the page.tsx. Now here we can write a simple button which says sign in, and here let us make it use client, and let us import use router. My bad. If we import use router, we need to make it a client component, and let us import from navigation in the new Next.js. Let us define a router using use router, and let us define a function over it. We can write a function which what it does is router.push, and it pushes it to API/authentication /signin. And if you remember, this router.push at /API/auth/signin will make this request onto the NextAuth thing, and we will see how this works out. Now let us start the server by clicking on npm run dev, and because this is in the app/NextAuth, we will go into our NextAuth/NextAuth page, and we can see a button over here. Let me first make this a flex call, item center, justify center, and its screen. Let me add it to div. So you can see that button is a central page. If I click on this, it will go into /API/auth/signin, which is where we wanted to make it to. And you can see a sign in with Google button, because that's where our NextAuth configuration was written, the API auth and everything as a get. You click on this, select an account, give the permissions, continue, and you can see we are redirected to the same /auth page, because if you go into library/auth.ts, you can see in the callback section the redirect is made to base URL, that is the localhost 3000 or your domain /auth. If I change it to /xyz, and if I again sign in, we can sign in multiple times, but we will change this logic. If you sign in, we can see we are encountering 404 page because /xyz does not exist. So let me create fastly a page.tsx. Let me just copy everything and then just write page.tsx. You will be able to see that the same xyz appears because I just copied from the root page.tsx. If I just remove everything from over here, I hope you are understanding this, and write xyz, you will be able to see here xyz. So this is how you can add authentication to your project using the NextAuth library. Next we'll discuss how to make maybe a sign-in page, or we will discuss how you can write a middleware for it. Let me think over it and get back to you. Thank you for watching.